My name is Mike McIntosh from the Adams County Sheriff, and I just want to welcome all of you here this morning to participate in Victim Rights Week. This is kind of a week that we reserve to make sure that our focus goes back to the victims that we serve. Having been in law enforcement for many years, I know that there's a lot of things that we walk through on a daily basis, and at times we can lose focus as to what it is that we are called to do and why it is that we serve. And being able to take time once a year around Victims' Rights Week to make sure that we regain our focus on our victims and really appreciate those that do the hard work to take care of our victims. I've always found it very, very appropriate to make sure that our academy participates in this event. So for those of you that don't know, the folks that are standing in front of me are participants in our law enforcement academy, the Sheriff's Office Academy, and they are walking through the process to become police officers or deputy sheriffs in and through mostly this northern area of Denver. Some of them will be deputy sheriffs for the Adams County Sheriff's Office. Some of them will go back to other agencies. We have a regional academy. But I can tell you that when we start the academy, I meet with all of the cadets as they are assembled the very first morning, and we talk about why it is that we are involved in what we're involved in, why it is that they chose the profession of law enforcement. And I can tell you that academy after academy, cadet after cadet, always says that they want to be able to serve their community and they want to be able to serve the victims. And I think to set the tone properly and to have our cadets, our future law enforcement officers, participate in this event in this week, really make sure that they have a foundation that is grounded in the real reason why we serve in law enforcement, and that is for our victims. We serve to protect those that have been victimized and to protect those that cannot protect themselves. I want to give you just a little bit of history as to where and why it is that it's this week that we celebrate. In 1981, President Ronald Reagan endorsed and announced the official beginning of Crime Victims' Rights Week. Each year in April since its inception, communities across the country recognize the journey victims take through the criminal justice system and the healing process. It is also a dedicated period to show appreciation to those who have fought and continue to fight to protect the rights afforded to our victims. In observance of Crime Victims' Rights Week, Expand the Circle, Reach All Victims has been selected as the national theme for 2018. Its intended purpose is to remind all professionals, all organizations, and all communities to work together to reach out and support those suffering loss and trauma. As law enforcement, we have a duty to serve and to protect, but we also have a duty to ensure that all victims of crime have access to support services that they need to positively move them forward in a positive manner. Law enforcement has been titled as first responders, not necessarily because we are the first to arrive in the midst of someone else's personal tragedy, but because we are first and should always be first to set a standard for all others to build upon. The Adams County Sheriff's Office has a unique opportunity to richly impact our community during those initial moments of working with crime victims. We do not intend to fail in our responsibility to support Adams County and those that dwell within it. Today, we raised the flag to reflect dedication and commitment by the Adams County Sheriff's Office and our Victim Services Unit. Our commitment and dedication is to continue to serve our community in a manner no less vigorous than the protection afforded to the criminal defendant. I want to thank all of you for being here and participating in this. As you also know, this is a time where we are just about 2.5 months from one of our deputies being a victim of a murder. And when that happens in an agency, the whole agency feels victimized. And this year, like no other year, we understand what it is that victims go through on a daily basis as they walk through that process. I also want to take time just to make sure that I recognize those in our community, those in law enforcement and in the criminal justice system that have come behind us to support us during our deepest need, in our darkest time within the sheriff's office. That support, just like what we do for the victims, is the support and the help that gets us through that healing process. We know as members of the sheriff's office that that's going to take some time. But having those come around us, having those support us as we walk through this process is incredibly important to the healing process and is encouraging to us each and every day to move forward and continue to do what it is that we have been called to do as law enforcement officers. So obviously this year is a special time for us as we recognize our victims of crime, as we recognize the community that was impacted during the death of our deputy, and those that have come around us to support us through this time.